Hello and welcome back to Inside the Boardroom. Gold is pushing all-time highs. It's been a great year for copper, and American Eagle Gold, a company exploring for both copper and gold. Join us in the studio today. Tony, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, James.
So obviously it's been an exciting year for American Eagle, but some results out yesterday. One of the first times you've seen a negative reaction in the market to your drill results. Can you walk us through what you're seeing there and what your message to investors is?
Yeah, it's a simple message. It's a technical success. Those copper holes that we drilled, 18 and 20, they all had economic copper consistent all the way through with areas of high grade. But why we highlighted the gold equivalency in the South Gold Zone, it's a gold zone. And gold hitting all-time highs. These porphyries are expensive to build. And like Highland Valley, you need to pay off that capital as soon as possible. And we see this gold zone as the key that unlocks this whole project. And with these holes, what you saw 3 holes of over 100 meters gram per ton gold equivalent from surface. So it proves this gold zone, it expands this gold zone, and we have more holes that are actually in this gold zone that are going to come out in the future. So we just want to highlight, there's gold there, this high grade, this is what we're going to do to unlock the project. But by no way are we going to be kind of moving away from original plan. It's prove out that we have a giant ore body, over 1 billion tons. Within that, we have pockets of really high grade. And those pockets of high grade is that gold zone, the jewel box that we're slowly finding as we move north. And within that north to south walks, we're going to hit high grade zones like we hit in 17. So we're early days. We have over $12 million in our treasury. We're funded through the end of 2025. We're 5 holes through in a 20-plus hole program. So it's early days, and I think it's a good opportunity for shareholders.
And do you think there might have been any confusion, leading with these gold equivalent results, whereas investors maybe were looking at you as more of a copper story over the last year, and obviously a lot of interest in your copper M&A this year as well. Where do you think some of that confusion may have come from?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I wish it was Groundhog Day. I can do everything over again. And, hindsight is 20/20, but you just never know with this market. I think we did it for the right reasons. It's the market. We have gold. Our first hole, 2201, was high-grade gold. People forgot we had it. We call this a gold zone. 3 of our holes had high-grade gold in it, so we put it in gold equivalency. But maybe the investors thought that was a bit of a dog whistle that we're moving away from the copper. That is definitely not the case. Our holes now that we're moving north are all going to be copper equivalency. So, look, there's a bit of a sell-off, but it was a technical success, and it's early days, and I'm expecting to rebound.
Yeah, it's certainly challenging. I think we've seen over the last few years, in these markets, any news, be it positive or negative, often comes, as a liquidity event, and people use that to sell, even on the back of positive drill results. What's your outlook so far this year? It's been a great year for gold and for copper, but maybe haven't seen as much love trickle down to the juniors. What's your perspective on the commodity market overall?
The commodity market's good. Obviously, you're seeing the mid-tiers and the majors move up. Still not a love yet for the juniors, but it'll come. This industry is not for the weak of heart. Only the strong survive, and the strong that survive are the ones that have high grade, which we have, and a strong balance sheet. We've done well this year. Obviously, we haven't come out with news for 7 months, so there's a lot of pent-up enthusiasm for our results. But, I think people are going to dissect this information, analyze it, and realize it was really good. And, you're seeing our stock rebounding. So I think if you want a junior mining project, personally for me as an investor, I want to be in 2 different elements. Copper and gold are the 2 hottest chic metals out there. And I want to be in Canada, because if you find something, you want to make sure you don't lose it. So we have the recipes for a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, and I think you've seen that vote of confidence with Teck coming in multiple times. Are they currently your largest shareholder?
Teck's currently our largest shareholder. They own just under 20%.
Okay.
I think I always give an analogy. It's like being stuck in an avalanche sometimes when you're trying to invest in these junior mining companies. When you're in an avalanche, the danger is you don't know what's up or down. It's the same thing when you're investing as juniors. You got 1,000 different CEOs that are like me, and they say, I got the best company. And you don't know what's right or wrong. There's a lot of noise. And sometimes you start to break up the noise when you have credible investors come in. You have an Eric Sprott or something. But what's even better is those big companies like Teck who have a history of success in turning juniors into major producing companies. I talk about Hemlo. I talk about Afton. They're an early investor in Voisey's Bay.
Yeah.
So they spent 6 months of work in it. They believe in it, and I think that's one of the things that really kind of helped us catapult starting in May last year.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a great rise for American Eagle. I remember chatting with you back, must have been a year and a half ago or so at the VRIC conference.
Yeah.
You guys were at around 10 cents, so it's been a big rise since then. You mentioned that this is only just the beginning. You're funded through the end of 2025,
at least,
and you have an ongoing drill campaign. There were 7 months, you said, between the news releases, and maybe there was some of that pent-up expectation. I want to kind of set those expectations for investors looking ahead throughout the rest of the year. What can we expect in terms of remaining holes and remaining results, and when do you think we can expect these results?
Obviously, we're not waiting another 7 months for results. They're going to come, more regularly. Ideally, not package 5 holes together, but there's a lot of stuff that happens with assays. We had 2 batches that were stuck apart that we're making us wait for things. But expect more of the same. As we move north, we're going to hit higher and higher rate copper. That's what we've seen historically when we're drilling, and we're going to hit areas where we have really great holes, and probably similar to 17, where you have the moly and you have the gold that juices it up. When you look at this thing from 30,000 feet, it's a little different than most porphyries. Most porphyries is homogeneous in terms of the dispersion of the grade. Here we have kind of moderate grade, but within it you have these big plums of high grade. So you look at it from 30,000 feet, it actually, I think, will be an economic deposit, which kind of differentiates us from everyone else. Is we have these really, really high grade areas, like these big areas. So that gold zone really does differentiate yourself. So if you look at the other porphyries in BC, they don't have this high grade zone that can be the starter pit that's going to pay off the processing facility.
Yeah.
We are starting to put that into focus right now. So we have a lot more areas that we're drilling to the north, expect higher grade copper, but we have some more holes that I'm cautiously optimistic that's going to expand this gold zone even bigger. So holes 24, holes 26, holes 28, but expect a lot more news to come.
And you mentioned when you're comparing the NAC project to some of the other porphyries in BC, when investors are looking at American Eagle, what are some maybe comparables? What are some other companies that they could look at and see, okay, this is where American Eagle, this is an equivalent American Eagle, and get a sense of what your trajectory might look like based on the results that you're seeing now?
All these deposits are like snowflakes. They're completely different. I wouldn't really want to compare it to another porphyry in BC or my peers who aren't as good, but we really are different than everyone else. The big differentiator is this the gold, the high grade gold we have, the high grade copper we have, but also just as important is the infrastructure. We're not in a tropical jungle. We're not on top of a mountain or near a glacier. You can literally drive a golf cart right onto our property. So I talked about the gold that's going to pay this thing off early. Do you know what else reduces your OPEX costs, your capital costs? Is having ease to access the property. So we're about an hour drive away from Smithers. So we have access to capital, access to power, access to people. So that's a big differentiator for me. But yeah, we're pretty excited. The other big differentiator for us is we're fully funded. We don't have to go out and raise money. So while I don't love the stock being down, it's not going to make a difference in our day-to-day business. And now we're in a position to positively surprise the market. So I'm excited for the news to come. Rome wasn't built in a week. These mines aren't made or broken with 5 drill holes.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
Look, we're gonna end with a bang, and we're gonna just have better and better results as we go along.
And just to wrap up, when investors are looking at American Eagle, what sets you apart from the peers? Obviously we've mentioned the grade and the infrastructure, 2 critical pieces of the puzzle there. But are there any other factors that you think people should be taking notice of that might be overlooked? And why is now a really good time to get involved?
Well, again, if you're getting involved, it means you're investing in the company. Talk to your financial advisor. Again, I said this at the very beginning. This world is not for the faint of heart, for investors, for people working there, etc. But look, I think the differentiators are already mentioned. It's the infrastructure, it's our grade, etc. But I think the other thing, when you look at ore bodies, my uncle who passed away helped find this project. He always said, big ore bodies, hang out with big ore bodies. The other big differentiator I have, and I'm going to land this plane, is who's working on the project. Does that geo have a history of success of not only finding deposits, but getting to a point of liquidity? Because let's be honest here, we're not going to build this thing. We want to get to a point where we create a liquidity event and someone else buys it. So
yeah.
we de-risk it along the way. And Charlie Gregg, who's, technical advisor on our property, helping to manage the drill program, he put together GT Gold. He sold to Newmont. He was involved in Pretium, which eventually got sold, I think, again to Newmont. He's involved in Nevsun's Bista project, who got sold a couple times after that. So he has a long history of success. He doesn't just get involved in a podunk property. So he's involved with us. He has a plan. He has a really good team, and he has a history of success. So again, we have a recipe for a really good meal here, and we just want to kill people with good results. Again, it's early days.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the team there. I've seen a lot of insider buying from them as well, which is obviously a great sign. Tony, looking forward to seeing more results from American Eagle throughout the year and keeping an eye on this story as it progresses. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, James.